There you go, everybody. There's your squeak. Squeaky kitty. Kitty girl. Get it. Good girl. So the other day, to total start without my intro, Kiri squeaked her ball so hard her fang popped into it and she couldn't get it off of her fang. So I had to go and remove it from her mouth. And that, trying to get a dog that's running around the house because she's freaking out because her ball attacked her, like trying to get that ball off the fang is comedy. It's comedy. So, hello everybody. Hello, I'm Anne. Welcome back to Reaper Miniatures Pro Tips. I am unraveling my headphones so that we can get going here. We are here with disembodied voice Justin, which is why we need these headphones so he doesn't sound like Justin from the grave. Let us plug him in. There, now he's safe. Justin is safe. He can have his sultry disembodied tones without worrying about a disembodied from the grave echo. So I'm trying a new chair today. I'm lower because I'm trying a new chair today, guys, to try to see if I can help my back. So I've stolen David's chair. So yeah, hello everybody. Boink. Here we go. So we're going to work on Stormchaser's girl. She may not be in the rotation much longer, guys, because I'm going to do a different set of models. We're switching things up a little bit. And I'll probably be choosing like a set of 6 models that we work on, you know, like throughout, you know, 6 or 7 models that we work on, you know, one after the other or something like that. We're being asked for a schedule, so we've got to be schedule-y now. I can't just wing it anymore. I'm supposed to be almost professionals, almost. So that is why. And since she's not in really regular distribution, I think that we'll have to kind of put her aside. But it's a kneeling chair declearman. I have a kneeling chair that I really like, and that's the one I normally use, but it's also up a little bit too high for when my back is like actively angry at me. It's not helping. Like yesterday, it really locked up my shoulders and neck and I got headaches. It was bad. So while I'm trying to recuperate my back since it went out, I am attempting to go a little lower so that I can keep my spine straighter. But I do like the kneeling chairs for painting a lot. David got me hooked on them, so it's nice because it switches my posture up. Let's get this in focus. There we go. No, we're supposed to be hashtag almost professional now, Rax. Last I checked. Weren't we, Justin? Wasn't that the shtick?
Yeah.
Yeah, almost professional. Almost.
Ish.
Ed is trying to make us more professional. Trying is the operative word. No, for a long time we were not professionals, but we've been doing this for long enough now that we really have no excuse. So, yes, almost professionals. Yes, exactly. Freestyle's got it. What do we want to do today, guys? I was thinking we'd do her hair. I was thinking maybe we'd work on some leather, like figuring out what to highlight this saddle brown with. It's all around to give me commission. Reaper paying me is commission enough, guys. Reaper being my part-time job is commission. It's all good. Let's see here. I'm going to pop her here, actually. I'm using double block maneuver here to keep her in focus while I put my... failed double block maneuver. to put my glasses on and figure out where we're going to take her today. Let's see here. Yeah, so we could do... Our cream looks good for now. I think I'm going to base coat some of the gold, and I'm going to do the hair and maybe figure out kind of what to do with the saddle brown on highlighting. Hey, Mini Grinder Studio, how's it going? And Miniocalypse and everybody else. Wow, there's lots of people. Oh, it's because Miniocalypse just rated us. Hi, thanks. Hey there, Jarrett. How's it going? We are here. We're working on Pirate today. We've been working on her unusual color scheme for a while. So I was thinking we would do... Where's my saddle brown? So saddle brown's a weird color, and it's that leather color that I used there. Wasn't I thinking... Yeah, I was going to use it all in the waist here, wasn't I, guys? Yeah, let's do that. Let's work on leather today. Thank you for the raid. Defend the Anne and the squeaky dog. Yes, the squeaky dog has stopped squeaking now. She's collapsed. She has no less than 3 balls gathered around her head. Because we found 2 squeaky balls that were thought to be expired, but had just been lost by an enthusiastic Kiri dog. So Speaking of repelling borders, my D&D stream is on for later today, guys. So, and we won't spoiler alert, but yeah, let's hopefully I'll see a number of you over there. Assuming my back holds out. If my back holds out, then we're good. All right, so let's see. What do we shade this with? Saddle brown. Well, any warm brown will really do. Saddle brown is kind of a reddish color. For those of you who are on my Patreon, patreon.com/paintingbig, the $5 PDF this month, or last month, I should say, it's December 1st, oh my gosh, was the weird brown, how to use the weird browns and bones, and this is one of them. So it is a classic reddish, lighter leather color that's present in a lot of paint lines, especially historical lines. It's a nice variant leather color for when you've used other leather colors, like I've used the dark brown leather here on her boots and such, and you want to kind of switch it up, and so you go a little bit lighter, and when you're using a color scheme that's kind of muted out like she is, that can work very well. Yes. Yeah, very happy Kiri, all the squeaky balls. Let's hope she's empty and we don't get a Kiri emergency today. But yeah, so we're working on colors today. We've been working on because this mini has such an odd color scheme. You know, the purple highlighted with the blue, kind of icy violet, and then the cream was the color that I went with. Everybody was like kind of dubious about, but it's working. And then yeah, we're going heavy on neutrals now, because once you get this icy violet color, which is the color of her shirt, is the color that we highlighted her hat with and her coat. So once you've got kind of a complex and interesting color scheme going on with two primary colors, you really want to start leaning heavily on your neutrals, because if you keep painting and choosing different strong colors, it's going to get to be a mess very quickly. So I typically only go with two very strong colors and then maybe one kind of accent color, and we may get to that once we get down to these little potion vials and some of the details that she has on her stuff. So that is what we're doing. Let us get to this saddle brown, and I think I'm going to use black and brown as a shadow for it. Black and brown can also serve as a shadow for the boots, since I believe I used russet brown for them. I could be wrong. If I used black and brown for the boots, well then I'm going to have to go even darker, but we'll see. Yeah, maybe I did go black and brown for the boots. Sometimes with my dark leather, it's hard for me to like tell, because those are my two go-tos, is the russet brown and the black and brown. Black and brown is 9137. It looks like dark chocolate. It could very well be what we did those boots base coated. And then russet brown is the other one, which is a little bit lighter and more yellow. And the only reason I thought it might have been russet is that we went over black primer on this one, and that always makes your color look darker. So sometimes it can kind of not deform the color, but if you're trying to figure out what you used and you're going over a black primer, it can be very difficult. All the colors. Yes, well, I did make all the colors mini grinder. Since I created the Reaper Master Series paint line, I created over 500 colors for Reaper when I was working for them full-time. And then earlier this year, I moved out here to the West Coast to be with my boyfriend, and so now I'm just doing streaming for Reaper. But I still know all the paint chemistry and all the colors that I created while I was working at Reaper. So that is why I am here, to tell you all the secrets, mostly. So, okay. So these colors, I'm thinking. Now, these are very different, and if you want to have a shadow that maybe blends in a little bit easier, you can always take a brush full of this and a brush full of that and mix them together over here. And if you're, when you discover that your black and brown is extremely strong and overwhelming your saddle brown still, you could even take another drop of saddle until you get something that's kind of halfway between the two. Just kind of use your judgment. Hello, Twisted Oma. You got your 500th bottle. You got your 500 bottles of Reaper paint, not counting duplicates. So you hit the 500 achievement. Pretty good, John David. Now what are you going to do with all that paint? It's like Wile E. Coyote catching the Roadrunner, right? It's like, I got here. Now what do I do with it all? Alrighty. So yeah, so you can always make anything work together. And even then, you can see how strong this black and brown is just by how much saddle I'm having to put into it to get a color that's kind of halfway between those two. What that is because black and brown is built in a base with a lot of high solids black pigment, and that pigment is really, really strong. It's a really heavy pigment load, and it's a really overwhelming pigment load for this saddle brown to try to overwhelm. So it is going to take a while. Let me see if I can get something black in here to make this read right. There we go. Now you can see more what that color is like. Sometimes getting, covering up, there we go. Sometimes to get the camera to read right, you need a large thing of black right next to a large thing, right next to your giant white palette. So this is my in-between color, and this is the color that I can use for shading my saddle brown on her knee, and we're going to put it also up on her belts. And then I can, if I need an even darker shader, I can go for this pure black and brown. So I kind of take it down in steps. And if you're starting out with blending, that's the easy way to do it. Where you are just kind of, if you mix more intermediate steps, it's going to be easier for you to find that blend. Whereas if you're trying to shade outright with a color that's very different, you have to thin that color a lot, and it takes a little more expertise and a little more understanding of paint consistency to get good results. Oh, uh-oh, what we got? Video issues? Oh, noes! Your interwebs are fighting you, Dragon Eye. Please, no interwebs issues today. We already have back issues, dog issues. Man, November was a crappy month, guys. I really, November's usually a good month for me. I really hope December is awesome. But with Kiri getting sick and my back going out, and it turned out to be kind of one of those months. And there was some other stress in there too that was considerable. So, which we won't go into, will we, Kiri? She's looking at me. What? What? You don't have a happy look on your face. I hope that doesn't mean you're going to explode. No explosions allowed today, Kiri dog. You exploded earlier. Yes, let's hope that December is going to be an awesome month, guys. So you know what today is, guys? Like, to totally go to a whole different subject. Today is the day that I woman up and shore up all of my get ready to be rejectedness and submit my book to a real, honest-to-God professional literary agent for the first time. I can't make any more excuses. The book is ready. Gotta go out. Gotta do it. Gotta get rejections. I think I'm just gonna make it a point of pride like Ray Bradbury did. Like, nowadays, since all the rejections are via email, you really can't stick them on a nail and impale them above your desk like Ray Bradbury did. But, I'll have to do something honorable with them, Your hubby is eating up the bandwidth. Nom nom nom. Bandwidth, tasty. But yeah, so be ready for my harrowing tale of rejection. So J.K. Rowling took 25 to get somebody to look at Harry Potter. And even then, the only reason it was picked up was because, the editor had taken it home and her, 10 or 11-year-old had picked it up and started to read it and loved it so much that she took on Rowling. So it's a large portion of luck to get your book published. To get an agent to take you. Yeah, I could print them out and impale them, use this touch, but I don't have a handy nail, and since we're in an apartment, I'm not as free to deface it as I would be if we were in a house. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll figure out something else. All right, so I'm going to actually use this color up here, too, on her leather bodice. I first made this saddle brown color in response to people who use the Vallejo line and historicals asking for it. But now I'm kind of getting to see, I like it. It's actually a good muted brown. Yeah, Bradbury is very awesome. He was a great guy. And he had a wicked sense of humor, even when he was, really old. But yeah, still one of the best writing books to get motivated to write is his Zen and the Art of Writing. But yeah, he was a super cool person. And from, Wisconsin, I believe, which I am also, for the, at least for the most of my life, although I was born out here. Oh no, well it's all boards now. It's all corporate boards, Soltor. It suffers from Hollywoodism. Like, the agents are the ones reading through the slush piles now because the editors can't be bothered. Like, corporate editors are just buried. Like, they have so many books to get ready because everything is run by a mega board that they have to report to. Yeah, like, all the book publishers are now owned by Mega Entertainment Corps for the most part. And so now they've got, to answer to people who really are not into books. They're into, they're into their bottom line. So it's just makes it like Hollywood, where there's so many great movies that just don't get made just because nobody wants to take a chance on it, and they want an IP that they're familiar with that they know they can sell. So I have the advantage in that what I like to write is, I think, pretty commercial as far as it goes. Like, that's just what I enjoy writing. I'm not a high literature kind of writer. But it still depends. Like, it just depends on finding an agent who can find the right home for your book. And you got to find that agent first who really loves your book enough to rep it. So that's the next step. Hey, Miss Sarah, thank you. 10 months. And Image of Betrayal for 8. Yeah, Wisconsin. But yeah, so it's a lot like Hollywood and book publishing are very similar because they're really like the people at the top may still love movies and books, but it's not like their priority to love, what they publish. Their priority is to publish stuff that's going to meet their bottom line and satisfy the board and, their bosses. So they have to kind of marry the two together, right? They have to try to publish books that they love, but that also they think will be successful. And it's a crapshoot. Like, most people in the publishing industry will admit that they have no idea what's going to be popular. Sometimes the things that are popular are real surprises to them. So it's just like Ed says, with miniatures. It's like after, umpteen zillion, 30 years of miniatures, he still only has, he has a general idea of what's going to be popular, but he can still be very surprised. And it's the same with books, from what I've read. All right, so we've got just a little bit of color. And, of course, there's a kind of she's got kind of an edge, a border on her bodice there. So I probably will do that in gold, but I'm not certain yet. Depends on if I go gold with the buckle here. Oh, I got some leather that I missed. So here with all this is a jumble of details. So we're going kind of carefully because we're trying to figure out, we want to make sure everything is distinct. We want to make sure that you can tell what everything is. And right away, one thing that I'm noticing is that I screwed up because really this hilt here of this dagger probably should have been purple to repeat the purple color over the parts of the model, because there's a little bit of purple showing up on the sides here. But you could still get away with making this purple and bringing that intrinsic purple color more into the model in the center here. So what we're doing with that is we are repeating colors over the model. Once we have our general color scheme, we don't want to always reach for some different color. A newbie painter might reach for a blue or something and not want to repeat the colors they already used. But really the answer is to repeat the colors you already used, is to choose colors you really liked in the beginning and then alternate them over the course of the model so that, you can really, make the eye move around the figure, make everything look balanced and nice. Now, if I do decide to go with a different color for these little potions, I can also decide to do that here. But if I do, I also need to repeat that color somewhere else on the model, because if we do this and say we use, I don't know, I'd have to look at the color wheel and see what we might use. Maybe an orange. If we did that, we'd have all that color right here, and it would be like warm, and it would attract to the eye. And the last thing we want to do is for the first thing people look at to be down here on her hip. We really want her, them to look up here at her face. So, thanks, mankind. She's getting there. So that's the corporatism does kill ingenuity. I think it's a rare corporation that can still encourage a lot of creativity. I think Reaper is a good example of a middle-sized corporation, Saltor, that does encourage creativity still, because, we're working still with artists, and a lot of the things that Reaper puts out are the artist's own vision. Like, Ron might say, I need a ranger, but, what happens when the artist, does that ranger is up to them. And as long as it's good and somewhat in line with what Ron wants, then it'll get done, right? So there's like a compromise. Is there a real life Sophie? I think Sophie was originally based on a real person, but it is she's herself now. I don't know what my favorite model is. Like Maldrakar used to be my simple answer to that, because I waited so long for a 5-headed dragon tyrant type of model. I'm going to use the black and brown to line around this leather here. We're just kind of slowly filling stuff in now. Y'all know that I like to work in sections, so, you know, here and there I'm going to be working on a particular section. So you've got some lining to bring out the different plates in this leather. And I'm going to put some shading. You can see the different plates are out there. Nah. I pick models to paint that I like, but they're not like my favorite. Like, come on, Reaper's put out, what, over 3,000, 4,000 models at this point? I think Maldrakar is a close to my favorite. Gemstone Dragon is up there. I think I could make a list of stuff that's up there. Alright, now I need to figure out, I need to shade this a little bit, and then I need to figure out what we're using to highlight this saddle with. I also need to come in with I mixed up a little brown liner too, in case I needed something darker and easier to paint really thin lines with. So, let's see here. Good morning, Daffodwear. Yeah, right, currently painting, define it, right, Nomanzik? Most aggravating. A fire elemental where Ron and I had conflicting ideas of what it was going to look like, and I ended up chucking it in the trash, Nomanzik. One of the few minis throughout my lifetime that I've chucked in the trash. I hated it so much that I just destroyed it. There are several of the Crusaders army models for Warlord that I really like because I helped design those. Because I wrote the army book. So like Duke Gerard is one that I think is still a great Paladin model. There are several of the Crusader models that I think are just fantastic. Joseph Werner sculpted a lot of them, and I think he did a fantastic job. So Bobby did a lot of them too, like Christiana. He did a fantastic job on a few of those. Like Marcus is he's a good Werner sculpt, and then Bobby did Gerard and several others. That's why I like a lot of those Templar models still. All right, so I did a little bit of lining, and you notice how it makes the leather come out very nicely. Oh, yeah, John David speaks. The Gemstone Dragon is in the Bones 5 Kickstarter. I've been painting it on the stream here. Trying to not get up and down a lot, so I'm trying to spare my back, or I would go and snag it to show you. But we'll probably, that is one of the ones that will be in the rotation coming up. I have a bunch of stuff that I ordered from Reaper that I also need to, looks like that probably right there. This little bit, like right here, is probably also, like, there's the buckle, but I think there's a bit of leather there, because this doesn't really have a cross guard, this dagger. It's very simple, so I think that is meant to connect. That's more belt there that we missed. Taking your time and just kind of like outlining the details here with liner is nice, because it gives you a sense of what everything is so that you can isolate it out. This can be a little harder on Bones models if some of the fine detail is just a tiny bit harder to see. Yeah, just I mean, I think if you just type in gem or gem dragon, you'll get it in the YouTube archives. John David. Good girl, Kiri. He's keeping an eye on the dog. She's restless, so hopefully we won't hit a Kiri emergency. Alright, so then I put a bit more belt in there. Bones USA. Does not sound familiar. Pretty much, I've actually not painted a great many different models on this stream. Because since I started focusing on, you know, painting entire models instead of just grabbing a model and demoing one thing on it. That's what I did at first on this show, is I would grab a model and I would demo one thing on it. But then the model would sit around and, you know, it's only had that one thing painted. And a lot of those models I didn't actually want to finish. So that didn't really work for me because that was a lot of wasted models. So I started doing it this way. And of course the downside to this is that, you know, you're working for quite a long time, if you paint like I do, on each single model gets several sessions. And so you don't paint as many models. Oh, Reaper's new stuff? No. I haven't been able to get, like John David, a lot of the new stuff just because I'm no longer on site. Since I'm out on the West Coast, I have to order anything. And when I was on site, it was easy. You just walked up to Ron's office or the streaming room and you could see the brand new stuff. And often you could ask if you could paint it and they just say yes. And so you grabbed it. That's how I got the Gemstone Dragon. But now that I'm remote, it's a lot harder to get new stuff. Just because you're not aware of it. I ordered a lot of the newer stuff. But not, yeah. Bones USA, I assume, is Bones stuff made in the USA, by the way. Since Reaper tends to go very obvious with their naming, it would seem to me that that's probably what it is. I've got rivets on this armor. I need to outline those. Yeah, freestyle, I do too. I mean, for one thing, then somebody comes to your stream and they're actually seeing something that's well in progress instead of seeing something that's got one little area painted and that's the rest of it looks like junk. Yeah, that's what I figured. New plastic being produced in Texas. Hi, Kiri, what's up? I think the doglet might have a emergency coming, guys. So I'm watching her. She's looking at the door. I think I'm gonna actually go open it for her. Let me. I have this hint when she does this. So we're gonna say Kiri emergency. I'm gonna be right back. Doop. You good, girl? You gonna make a liar out of me? Are you a good girl? Yeah? Yeah? I don't know if I trust you. I'm just watching her. What is it? Talk to me. Talk to me, dog. What's up? No, now she looks like she might be, like, setting down again. Hold on. If she settles, then we'll go for it. You good? Oh, I forgot to give you your med, didn't I? Yeah, I did. Yeah, she's just looking uncomfortable, guys. I'm gonna take her out real quick, and then I will be right back. Justin, have fun. Kibitz, talk about Bones USA or something. I'll be right back.
How's everyone doing?
All right, well, we're gonna come back. Somebody can't. Some dog cannot decide. She did not actually have a explosion, so I don't know what is up with her. But yeah, sorry for doglet disruption, guys. There we go. Yeah, he's here on Wednesday. John David speaks. Miniatures Den, Luca. He does a show for us here on Wednesday afternoons. Today, yeah, maybe Justin was on the phone, so it's possible that he could not jump in and keep you entertained while I was gone. Today is Crow's Nest, maybe. We'll have to see. David and I are still playing WoW, although I am going much slower than he is going on his solo character. But he is nice and plays a character with me, and then he has his hunter that he plays when I am busy. Which now that we're in the middle of the work week, I will be busy a lot. But so will he be. But yeah, his solo character is a lot farther ahead of me. There we go. So I went in and I put some brown liner around these little studs on the armor. And I just paint them black at first because hey, HM Dog, 14 months. Awesome. One of the early adopters. Yeah, that's great, John David Speaks. You should always, when you find somebody you really, whose style you really like, you always should support them. I mean, when it's a freelance artist, we all depend on our Patreons pretty heavily. Like, I know it's like my main income source, so it comes first for sure. Looks like I had a little bit of a light primer coat. We still got primer sitting here on the inside of the coat. We're still going to have to figure out what to do with that if I want to keep it black. It shouldn't technically be black. It should probably be a different color. But I don't want to go cream with it because then it won't work with the leggings. So I'm going to have to think about it. I mean, I could keep it black at this point if I wanted to. I could also go really dark purple with it. I know that I'm going to be going with the icy violet for the little sash here. So, Captain Smexy voice. That's funny. Mini paintings does save people's lives. Like, people don't realize that. I found that out pretty early in my career last time I tried freelancing and mucked it up so badly. Um, I actually witnessed that in a friend of mine who had a chronic disease that really mini painting was like the one thing that really would kind of take her away from what she was dealing with. So yeah, mini painting absolutely saves lives. Never let anybody tell you that mini painting is not important. All right, I'm going to actually mix up a little bit of rich leather because I want to start blocking in some gold here. This is where I'll start blocking in all the things that I haven't done yet, where it starts bothering me. This is the point on the model where it starts bothering me, where I don't have colors blocked in. So actually, let's grab that, and let's grab our typical gray for our NMM silver or steel. Let's grab our cloudy gray. One sec while I find it. There it is. And we'll get all of our NMM colors laid in. Really need to look up some pictures of flintlock pistols so I can paint this correctly. But for now, we'll just put off the gun, I think. Alrighty. Now I have to ask myself, what's going to be gold and what's going to be silver? And also, I probably should make the things holding those potions onto her belt. I should put a leather loop there. I could just make those tiny metal flasks. That'd be kind of a cop-out. Dogfather, silver and steel NMM are the same for me. It always starts with cloudy gray with a little bit of a different color mixed into it. The reason you put a different color into your silver or steel NMM is that if you just use it gray, if you just use gray, black, and white, it looks very black and white illustration. It doesn't look real. So I usually, if the model's outdoors, I usually do a blue mixed into it. I've used a tiny bit of brown. You could use a tiny bit of green. You could use a tiny bit of purple. Blue is my mostly what I go to, though. I usually mix in a blue or a blue-gray. It'll change it just enough to suggest that it's, it's picking up some light. The other one that people like to use is the one that came out with Kickstarter colors, where carbon gray, foggy gray, and moonstone blue. Or, sorry, carbon gray, moonstone blue, and one other color. Why can I not remember? Maybe it is foggy. But that's a good, because the moonstone is blue, if you mix it into the carbon gray for your base, you can you can use that triad to make a pretty awesome steel. But I highly recommend mixing a little bit of something else into your NMM. Either a color that's right around it, in which case it would be reflecting onto the silver, or just a little bit of blue. Yeah, John David, exactly. Luca just started 3 years ago. Yeah, he's come a long way. He obviously was very into it. Yeah, that's what I try to avoid. What Army Painter did, where if they just were renaming a color to sell it to a different audience, I find that that's not a smart business move, because you've got fans who really want to buy all the colors you put out, and so why would you not spend a little R&D time to figure out a new set of colors for them? Because everybody loves new colors. And that's what got Reaper into trouble. All right, so let's highlight this saddle brown, and since you love creamy ivory, John David Speaks, let's use it. Since we're already using it in our cloth here, on our edging, on the jacket, on the cuffs, and on the leggings. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, I'm glad it worked for you, Kuroniko. Yeah, and you even know the secret name for it, Moon Moon. It is totally the secret name. The reason for that is I originally had mixed it up for an employee who was doing Space Wolves, so I named it Moon Moon. And then it became Moonstone, because that's also the color it is, so that works. All right, so Creamy Ivory, 9144, a utilitarian ivory color that all of you should own. Really is the best ivory off-white. So good for scrolls and parchment. Very, very versatile. Can be used to mix highlights, and if you're looking for that warm off-white, that's your baby. This color right here is what you want. So I'm going to do a 4-to-1 mix starting out, which I usually do. So 4 saddled brown to 1 creamy ivory. It's going to lighten it up sufficiently. It's not going to take it. It's going to take it just a little warmer, but there's more white than yellow in creamy ivory, so it is just going to take it just a little warmer. So it's going to create a very naturalistic highlight. So there you've got, here, let me put my base on here again to help you see the actual colors. There we go. Now you can see them. So this is 4:1. And you can see, again, the Creamy Ivory has a lot of white in it, so it's really hitting this saddle brown hard, even in just a 4:1. Hey, Shifty DM, thank you for the tiny raid. Awesome. I love baby raids. And it's also good on a sandwich. No, that's mayonnaise, trash. So yeah, so that's our highlight that we've mixed that we're going to use on all of this leather that we've just put on, all of this lighter leather, while we paint this pirate. So welcome, everybody. I'm Anne. I work for Reaper Miniatures. I created the Reaper Master Series paint line. I was also their staff painter for many, 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 many years. And now I teach painting since I abandoned Texas for the West Coast just in time for the pandemic. So, yeah, welcome. Welcome, welcome. If you have any painting questions, all painting questions are welcome here. For sure. I'm a pretty high-level painter, but I like to answer questions from new painters as well. I think that's a value for everybody. Hey. All right, so we're going to highlight this little leather. So we're mostly going to highlight the top part where the light would fall on it. And we're going to see when we do this if it's light enough, if we've mixed a light enough highlight. You do want to see a difference. So I'm mostly going to highlight just like kind of a line highlight on the top of these leather plates. Just to see if I can bring out those details just a little bit. Yeah, that's working really well. See how nice that looks? So with little details like this where they're not, like, it's kind of an afterthought, right? It's like, it's leg armor, which is great, but it's kind of just there and you don't want to spend a ton of time on it. You don't want it to stick out. No, Moonstone does not come in any kits, I don't think, unless there's a Kickstarter colors kit from last Kickstarter, John David. It is, correct me, 9317, guys? Help me out here. If you type in Moonstone, Reaper MSP Moonstone Blue on a Google search, you should find the number, and then you'd be able to find it very easily, John David, on the website. But it's a really late color. It's one of those Kickstarter, last year's Kickstarter colors, which are very, very useful. All right, so there we go. So just that edge highlight is pretty good. Yeah, just buy it individually. Yes, we talk food, RPGs, and pets. Pretty much. I'm going to make cookies later today. I got out a stick of butter. I need to make butter cookies. Since we were talking about holiday cookies yesterday and how we needed more of them. So Danish butter cookies are on the list today if I can find some time. They might have to be on the list for tonight. I might have to abandon David and WoW for a little bit to make some cookies. Yeah, you want the glow colors too, for sure, John David. They're not actual glow in the dark, but they're like really vibrant and lighter, so you can create the illusion of glowing objects with them easier. That's why I called them the glow colors. Runic glow and I think it's phantom glow, is it? It's either phantom or spectral glow, and then red neon glow. Alrighty. So a little bit of shadow, a little bit of highlight, a little bit of blend in, and that's about how much you want. Like, you don't have to spend a lot of time on these little details, and it didn't take me very long, but now it looks really nice down there. Like, now it looks finished out on the leg there. Now, one thing I could do is highlight more down the center here. Although, with the potions and the jacket overhanging this area, I don't really want to add a lot of highlight because they would be in shadow. They'd just be picking up a little bit. Maybe, John David. D. Clearman has the strategy. Buy $40 worth of paint each month and you will quickly get them all and also get the free mini. Yep. He knows how to. That's a man who knows how to game the system, people. Listen to D. Clearman. Alright, so I'm going to put a little bit more of a round highlight. Remember, if it's a rounded surface, the highlight also needs to be round. So more like that. And then I think I will put a little bit more of a highlight down the front of this. There. That at least suggests the shape a little more. But then when we get up to this next plate, it really is being overhung by the coat here and little potions. So I'm going to back off there. I may mix one higher highlight, although that's pretty good. When I look at it in regards to everything, that looks pretty good. wife is only mad for a week if you do it all at once. Well, yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends, right? Depends on what your budget is. Alrighty, I'm gonna mix up my NMM silver start. So since I am working with an interesting, I think I might just put a touch of Icy Violet into my NMM steel because it's a color we're using. It's very bluish, has some purple in it too, but it fits the bill of also repeating colors. So when I talk about repeating colors over the course of painting a miniature, I'm also talking about repeating them in what you mix in as shadows and highlights. So I've got a pretty good gamut of colors now. So now my task is to just repeat. And to give you an idea of how little I'm putting in, it's just that one drop in a big pool of, it's probably 6 drops of cloudy gray. I just want a little bit of something to push it away from being a monochrome gray. Then you can do some NMM and have it look like it ought to. And since this Icy Violet is what we use to highlight the purple on the hat, I'm going to keep going in that direction. So I have now cooled down my gray. You really can't see it so much now that once it's mixed in, but it's there. Need a holiday wreaths accessory pack from Reaper. That's totally an Ed and Ron. That's a Ron thing. Alright, so now we have to figure out what we're going to make silver and what we're not going to. And I also have to figure out a scabbard color here. See, I do have some areas that I could put in one more accent color if I really wanted to. And the one I would go for if I did it would probably be orange. But before I even do that, I'm going to have to kind of look at where my NMM gold is, because that's going to, it's going to bring in some more yellowy tones, and I need to keep that in mind when I'm doing this stuff. So let's see here. I think we're going to go gold on the accessories there, but I think this buckle is going to be silver. And the thing with silver when you're doing it on a very small buckle is that it's really not going to, the color in it's really not going to show up. Like, you just want to base coat it, do your highlights, and your highlights and shadows are going to show, mostly your highlight. But it needs to be painted something, so there it is. And then probably, I think the bustier maybe. Although it makes sense to make that gold and make this buckle silver probably. And also I needed to put brown in the middle of that buckle. I have the wrong color there. Sometimes I don't know if it's like a buckle that kind of goes over the top of the belt, and sometimes, it's a buckle that has a design, like that. But this one definitely, now that I get closer to it, I can see that it has there's its little tongue. So I am going to paint this dark leather. So all my buckles are silver. That's cool. Still think Kiri's kind of restless. I'm just keeping an eye on her. I'm kind of hoping we can go another half hour without a Kiri incident. I tried to make the last one fast, but she's not going to sleep like she usually does, which usually means she's a little uncomfortable, but she probably hasn't figured out in her old dog head exactly why she's uncomfortable yet. Like, it could be anything from it's a tad too warm in here to, I need to go out. So we'll see. Oh, there are so many colors out there. It's hard to try them all. I can kind of tell usually, because I have a selection of colors that I really enjoy using, and that are very high utility for mixing. It takes like a fair amount for a new color to get into my mix. Like, a lot of the Pathfinder colors made it, a surprising number of them really, because there are some really unique, useful colors in Pathfinder. Oh, it's part bit. I think collecting paint has been part of the hobby for a very long time. Back when I was starting out in freelancing, I would just grab any line of paint that came out just so I could have all the colors and test them. Is there a complete list of all the paint colors? Well, if you type MSP into the store at Reaper, you should come up with pretty much everything. But as far as the colors that I use, I don't have a list of them. Although the starter set that I made a long time ago for Reaper does have a lot of what colors I consider very useful. And if you watched my video for the $10 tier this month on my Patreon, you'll see kind of a starting range of six colors, like red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Examples of those are examples of those hues that I think are very utilitarian, very useful. All right, let's start blocking in some gold here. So we're gonna have, I want some gold furnishings on this dagger. So I'm going to block it in with rich leather, which is my go-to now for base coating gold. Uniform brown also works great. That's 9127. That's what I used to use all the time. I like the rich leather doesn't cover as well as uniform, but it has a really rich yellowy tone to it. So it depends on really what you want to do with your gold or your bronze. It makes a good bronze as well. So does uniform brown. Like this is really, uniform brown is really the older version of rich leather. It's got slightly better coverage and it's not as yellow, but it's still useful for the same things. Now we've got the border on her shirt here, which I want to be gold because it's a violet shirt, so it should go really well. So I'm going to base coat everything in this color, and that's going to be my clue, my cue, visual cue that is the color this is going to be. So it does come to a point where I go back to and I base coat everything, I guess, is what it comes down to. Is like at the beginning, I'm painting section by section. But as I get more progressed on the model, then I start to get impatient and go, I need to block in where all the rest of my colors are so I know what is what. And so I can see my color composition and make sure that I'm doing okay. So right now, good. Gold there. Yeah. Kind of think gold there because I've got a bunch of gold here now and I need some gold up here because I'm also going to put some gold up here. So plus she is a pirate captain and she'd have a lot of gold tone stuff. You don't have a problem. Yeah, right. That won't work. You have a lot more paint than that. Yes. Yeah, the Reaper store will only carry stuff that is currently in production. This is true. But it's a starting point. Yeah, organizing paint is hard because you do need 3 dimensions. Correct. That's why I tend to limit myself. I don't try to put colors in my inventory that I can mix easily. I tend to go for colors that are more saturated with fewer pigments in them so they have higher utility for mixing so that I can utilize that instead of reaching for totally different color. And that was not always the case. I definitely didn't like to mix much, other than I would always mix my highlights. Like, if I wanted to highlight a color, I almost never reached for a different color to do so because I found that I got into trouble that way. It was much easier for me to just add yellow and white or just white, depending on the color, to whatever color I was doing. So I got in the habit of mixing highlights for my painting very early, and then when it came time to mix others, mix paint lines and other stuff, I was better equipped. All right, so we've got some hardware on that gun. I've wanted the hat rim to be gold for a while, so may as well go there. We have all of this stuff kind of blocked in so that we can't see any primer anymore, and that will make me happy. And of course we have to be careful when we're doing these edging things and go a little slower. It's okay. No, Nice, John David. Yeah, if you've got the room for it, that's a good solution. We don't have the room for that sort of thing in our apartment here, so. But if you have a large office or part of a basement or something, that or a finished garage or something like that, that can be really good. Those big toolboxes. So this is where we kind of get into just a little trouble because our plume is so similar. Like the shadow color for our plume is actually the same color for our base for our NMM gold. Now the gold's going to go more yellow than the plume, but that will be the point where when I'm mocking in the gold here, I'll make sure to put shadow like here, and I will also probably brighten up the plume with some pure white to further differentiate it from the gold. Because sometimes you can get in trouble if you're putting things that are too close together in color right next to each other. But I really wanted this hat to be gold, so there was nothing for it but to go for it. Alright, let's see here. So we've got that. We still have the dagger still needs to be an accent color. These need to be an accent color. Our little lion head up here, I'm probably gonna go gold as well. I could go silver though. Silver is like tempting because it'll alternate then, because we need this epaulette here to be gold, so let's do that. So see how I'm trying to alternate a little bit. Like we've got some gold down here, and then we've got some silver, and then we've got some gold and some gold, so then I want to alternate maybe and go silver up here. Silver's really a neutral, so it's not like you're bound to repeat it. Wherever it shows up, it's just gonna usually just be a little touch of detail. But gold is definitely a color. Gold counts as yellow in your color scheme. So by doing gold on this model, I am adding another version of yellow. The cream was one muted version of yellow, but it came up to almost white. The gold is going to be a much stronger yellow, so it's going to be a complement to the purple that we used. Complementary color to the purple that we used in the jacket. So when I say that, if I pick an accent color, it will be orange. The reason for that is that I'm doing with what I would call a dual complementary scheme, or I guess you'd call it a rectangular tetrad. In which case I am grabbing purple and its complement, yellow, in both the cream and the gold, and then I've highlighted with more of a blue, so if I choose a secondary complementary color, it would be orange. So that's why I would think that I would go, you know, yellow, purple, blue, orange. If I was adding one more color to this scheme, I would go orange. Oh no, Inara, yeah, they're heavy. Yeah, they're heavy. I mean, ask any of us who have tried to lift those 3-gallon bushels of paint after we label them and have them all in the bottles. That's 750 paints, and that weighs a lot. We have to get like strong people to lift those up high on the shelves, because woof. Alrighty. We are getting our colors blocked in, but now I'm thinking that lion really does need to be silver. With this happy little lion face. I'll probably need to put a wash on him. Probably with gray liner, or I'll go in manually if I can still see the details. It is difficult to see the details up there a little bit. So now if I do an accent color, and if I do orange, what I probably would do is do purple down here, do orange on the potion bottles, orange on the hilt, and orange up here. I'd probably take one of these ribbons orange if I introduce another color. John David, in general, paint is expensive enough to produce that companies who produce paint don't make as great a margin off of it as they do off of miniatures. That's all I can tell you. I know how much the margin is, but I can't tell you that. I'd have to kill you. But yeah, you are correct in that paint is expensive to make. Its saving grace is that you're taking a gallon and you're producing so many bottles out of it, but you're still not making, as much. Like, if you kickstarted it, you could get ahead of that a little by using that money to buy up supplies, but eventually you'd have to buy at full price, and you'd get diminishing returns. So there's just, the bottles are expensive, the pigments are expensive, a good quality base is expensive, additives are expensive. I mean, it like I said, it works because you're producing a certain number, hundreds of bottles in each batch, which cuts down on cost of labor, which is also a cost. But yeah, I mean, if you do all the math, you can produce miniatures much cheaper. But then you have to figure in all of this also, you're also paying for, like the rent or the mortgage on the the building that you're in, and all the rest of that. That's the cost of doing business, and the salaries of the people who are helping your customer service team. And it's not just trying to make the each department pay for itself, because you also have all those overhead costs. So yeah, I mean, no app is perfect. It's like, how is the how much work did the creator of the app do, right, Aristel? Wow, we're getting lots of raids today. Hey, Heart of Adventure, thanks for the raid. We're working on a pirate today. I'm Anne. I made Master Series paint line for Reaper, and I was also a staff painter for a very long time for them. Now I left Reaper and moved out to the West Coast earlier this year, and now I am doing streams. Educational streams. So we stream a whole bunch of different miniatures, and we talk about different stuff like color theory and color choices and painting techniques and all the rest of it. So we are actually, yeah, Aerosol, it's like any app, right? It's like any app, any add-on, anything that's created. It's how much work is that person willing to do, or how did they make their choices sometimes? Because sometimes a paint app manufacturer or producer will decide not to include out-of-print paints in their app, right? Because it saves them time, and they may not have an example of that color that's accurate, so then it would be very hard to create that, right? It's so you have to always figure that in, because if you're going to be accurate with your paints, with your swatches and everything, if you also have a color matching tool or whatever, then if you don't have an example of that paint, trying to create an accurate swatch is very difficult. So I'm taking my silver color, my gray, and coming in. Remember, I painted over these little rivets entirely in a very dark brown, almost black. A brown liner is what I used. Now I come back and just touch the top of each with my silver color, and that leaves, you can see, a little dark circle around each rivet. It's the easy way to do it. All right. Yeah, just gonna get another touch there. Now you can see those rivets coming out really nice. I still have kind of a question mark of what I'm doing over here with these little bottles. Technically, I probably should go with the dark brown leather for these guys to make them contrast more with the belt that they're hanging off of. I could also just do the same leather there, which would make it obvious that it is leather. So let's do that, actually. Let's take some of our settle and let's put it on there. If we don't like it or we think it's too much of this color, we can totally change it. It's so easy. So we'll go... Normally this does violate Anne's rule, which is to always go with contrast. See, normally I would go darker or lighter for these little straps that are hanging off of our belt. But if I want to make it very obvious that this is the same leather holding these little potion vials, then I'm going to go with the same thing. So now how I'm going to differentiate that is because I've lined around it. You can see the dark shadow around the upper parts of these, so it makes them stand out even though they're the same color, and also with highlighting. So it's by adding contrast that we're going to give viewers the visual information that these are the little straps that the potions are hanging off of. Because it's all about that. Like, you're just telling people with your color choices and with your bringing out of details, you're giving your people looking at your miniature, you're giving them information, right? You're saying, hey, this is leather, this is metal, this is XYZ. So that's why you go this route. That's why you want to highlight and shade everything. Even if your shading is just like dark lines around these little leather straps that are hanging off the belt, and then like a little touch of highlight to make it stand out, right? A little bit more. Now we still have to put a little bit of that highlight also on this belt. We haven't done any highlights on the belt at all. And with belts, I usually hit the top edge, and then I get a little bit more on the bottom edge, which often is sculpted as if it's flaring out a little bit more. So now you can see those highlights right there. And they're pretty subtle at this point. That's all right. You can always come in with a brighter highlight. You don't need to worry about blending a lot when you're doing tiny little highlight areas like this. You just want to give them a touch of something to make them stand out. It's really difficult or even impossible to blend on an area that's so very small. So a little line or dab highlight is just fine. Yeah, app producers, I mean, they're a lot like us artists on Patreon, right? They depend on people really liking their product and supporting them. Since they're not, since they're making their apps available, they need to be paid a little bit. They're putting in time to upkeep it. So I totally would, I use that same like rationale as I do in looking at a Patreon. If I really enjoy somebody's content, no matter what it is, I'm going to try to toss them a few bucks for it. Because that's what I would want people to do for me. So when you are a content creator, it gives you a whole new perspective. There we go. So again, I got just a couple dab of highlights here on this belt. I am really liking this saddle brown now. Like, I like muted color schemes too. So this is this saddle brown, like, look at how nice and realistic that leather looks now. It's really coming along. There we go. Got the little bit of leather in there, although it's going to get kind of overwhelmed by the gold there. Let's see here. I need to come in with a highlight on this broad dark belt as well, and over on this and on the boots as well. But right now, I'm just going to concentrate on trying to build up a little bit of highlight here. Get all of my other leather looking correct. And that's really traveling nicely now. Like, it's a neutral, so it's not really picking up the eye. So I don't feel like I have to repeat it. I've repeated it like from here down to here. So this is a pretty good repeat. I don't feel like I really need to add more of the saddle leather. It's just going to fade in and make a nice kind of counterpoint to the rest of the model. And it goes well with everything. So I'm very happy that I used it. I think I'm going to mix one more highlight for it. Because although she's showing up with a lot of detail on the camera, I think in person she's a little bit more lackluster. So I am going to go and mix up I'm going to put her on the frame so you guys can watch while I go and mix up another highlight. So before I was doing a 4-to-1 saddle brown to creamy ivory. And this time I think I'm going to do probably a 2-to-1. I still want it to be in line with the saddle brown. Oh, good, Aristel. So 2 drops of saddle. This is going to be a very small highlight, so I don't need much of it. Hey, we're almost to 11. We're almost there. Kiri has finally settled down a little bit, which is a good sign. The doglet is no longer restless. I will knock on wood when I say that. Knock, knock. There. Alrighty. And since it's got a higher percentage of a light color, I'm going to use quite a bit of water in this highlight. The advantage of using the creamy ivory instead of a pure white here is that it brings our highlights up warmer as well as lighter. So when you use pure white to highlight something, it'll go lighter, but it's also going to go a little pasty, like on some colors, especially with browns. It's going to go really, really pasty and pale and skin tony. And you probably don't want that. So if you use an off-white instead that has a lot of yellow in it, like our creamy ivory, you're also making not just a lighter highlight, but a warmer highlight. So you avoid that pastiness. You give it some warmth, like there's a light source that is natural that's going down on it. So there's my triad. Yeah, I've switched chairs today, Val. I stole David's chair because he has a much lower kneeling chair, and it's letting me keep my back straight a lot more. Yesterday was so bad. I like my kneeling chair, but it is a little higher, and yesterday it just locked up my shoulders and neck, which was bad. So this chair appears to be working, so I think I'm going to steal David's chair until my back is a little stronger. It means I'm shorter. I'm shorter on the camera. All right, so now I've got this light color. I just want a little tiny bit of it on my brush, and I'm going to use it in the areas that are really... Yeah, my whole family had back issues right now. Like, when I called my parents and brother over Thanksgiving, they were like, yeah, Pete put his back out. Yeah, Dad's back is acting up. Yeah, Mom's got a crappy back right now, too. It's like, well, thanks, genetics. And I'm going to put a tiny little touch of highlight. I'm going to try to make it smaller than my previous highlight and just put it at the very tippy top of places to give us just a tiny touch more. You can see that little tiny highlight there on the top of the thing. Just a little bit more. Like the saying in mini painting goes, if you want something to look really good, highlight it till you think it looks good, and then put one or two more highlights on it, and then it'll be like better than you even ever thought it would be. Like and we say that to get people out of their comfort zones, because inevitably they're like, oh, it looks good, I don't want to screw it up. But in reality, if you just put like one or two more highlights on it, it would look amazing. So it's getting over that fear factor. And it also that's compounded, of course, by the fact that trying to highlight with the more white you add and the lighter you get, the harder it is. Oh, that was the wrong thing. I did not want that to be leather. Oh, no. Well, I painted over. I'll paint it over. There we go. But, of course, the more white you add, the harder it is to get a paint to blend in, because it's more opaque. So that also makes people... No, I don't mess around with that stuff, John David. I had physical therapy. I went to an actual physical therapist when I put my back out for the first time. And they taught me a lot of exercises. And so I do that, and I do Pilates. The reason that my back went out at all was because Kiri got really sick for a couple of weeks. And so I was always bending over and cleaning up after her. And that's what really irritated my back, to the point where I'm having to rebuild it now. Normally, my back is, because I do my physical therapy every night and a bit of Pilates, my back is pretty good most times. Like, it takes a lot of abuse for my back to get as bad as it is right now. And it was because I had dog emergencies. Normally I can handle it. That's a mini collecting, Nomadseek. I think in painting, if you wanted to look, the saying among my gang. Yeah, look out on that, Aristelle, because you think that you can get away with it until it jumps you, and suddenly your back is so unhappy. Like, there are nights I slack, and I almost always regret it. But my back has enough damage that I really do need to be doing exercises every night. Some people may not be quite as broken as I am. I blame my dad's genetics. He had to have vertebrae fused. I'm trying to avoid that fate by strengthening my core muscles instead, because I really don't want spinal surgery. I've had enough surgery in my short life. I really don't want. All right, there we go. So look at now how all those belts come out really nicely. You can see all of the little details because we put that dark line behind all of them. They really stand out. It's really nice. Everything is really clear. Oh yeah, Aerosol. Yep. Yeah, it takes... Because they don't do anything for you, right? When you're in high school, they think they can just like throw crap at you and you won't break because you're young. You know, but in reality, you can do lasting damage. And you can't even sue the high school. Dang it. That was the first time I messed up my back, was in theater in high school when we were moving a couch off stage. A big heavy one. Because of course it was somebody's old couch that they'd wanted to throw out. So it was like a heavy monster of a couch. And yeah, I popped my back for the first time doing that. There we go. So I went back in and I lined a little bit about those around those little leather things, and that makes everything look great. Oh, I see. Now they have a sports health person. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, see, I don't think that my high school is still pretty... I guess it's gotten bigger since I was in it. I don't know, maybe they do have a sports health person instead of just gym teachers who are like, just shrug it off. But yeah, I remember. I had that kind of high school experience as well. You know, you're young, you're fine. Although now I bet it's even worse because kids have cell phones where they didn't when I was a kid, right? So everybody already has craptastic posture because they've been playing computer games and on their cell phones, you know, all the time. And that just makes it all worse. Alright, I think we've got all of our leather highlighted really nicely as far as the middle leather goes. I'm pretty happy with that, actually. Like, I personally might go a little higher, but it looks good on the camera. Yeah, why you didn't wear your earplugs? Why would we need earplugs? Haha, that's funny, HM Road Dog. My brother went to football and quit for golf because football, he hurt something. I forget if he hurt his knee or his ankle. But it was enough of a wake-up call for him that he was just like, yeah, I don't like this enough to keep doing it. So then he went on the golf team and loved that. But my parents have always been into golfing, so I think that was a gimme. Everybody in my family golfs but me. I just do mini golf. Yeah, crazy, right? Yeah, JT Kimmel. I did that too, actually, when I was I was 30, I guess. I was out when I was living in Baltimore and working for GW. I bent over to pet my cat, and I put my back out. And what that is your core muscles are so effing weak, they just give up on you. You know that you need to do sit-ups, or, you know, you need to do exercises to strengthen your core. That's when that happens, is when your core has just gotten so weak that it just can't do it anymore. And so it gives up on you, and then you put your back out, just bending over. So that's not the only thing it can be, but I think that's the most common reason. Yeah, exactly. What core muscles, right? Exactly. That's why I started to do Pilates. After I ended up in physical therapy, I was like, all right, I need to actually do something and be proactive. Like, there's nothing that gets an Anne motivated like ending up in a doctor's office or a hospital. Like, I hate all of them. So if I end up in one, I'm just like, okay, what do I have to do now to never come here again? I get very motivated. Very motivated. I've always hated hospitals and doctors' offices, so nothing against the doctors. And I actually really liked my doctors that I had in Texas, and I miss them because they were great people who really helped me out. But I would rather not end up in the emergency, you know, or in the surgery if I can help it at this point. I've done that. Been there, done that. Right, you can lift things, but if but lifting with your legs, but your core, yeah. Yeah, my legs are like, I'm really sad that because of COVID, the gym's closed, because I really love the fact that we have a gym here in the apartment complex we're in. It's been a while since we actually have 2 gyms. And I really liked it when we were doing a little bit better on the COVID front because they were open and they were by appointment only, so you could reserve the whole gym for yourself for an hour. I was loving that. I was getting back into my weight training because I really felt like I needed it, and then it got bad again, so they closed them again by state mandate. So it's like, because they're just some like exercises that I need a machine to do, like. Yeah. Yeah, if you bike, biking is great for you. It's possibly one of the best exercises for you. It's a regenerative instead of a degenerative exercise, so it builds you up instead of breaking you down, is what I've read. But we live in the city now, and it does not motivate me to bike. I don't have one, for one thing. I'd have to pick one up, or steal David's. But I wouldn't know, what's the best, safest streets to bike on. I'd have to figure out a route. I like walking better. Yeah, right, exactly. If you don't live in a great place for biking, it makes it a lot harder. All right, so we've got at least we got our lighter leather pretty much filed away at this point. I like it. Excellent. Oh, we can do the gold. We definitely want to go gold back here because we're up against the purple. So we want to go gold for the fixtures on her elegant saber. Although that's probably leather, so I should go back and fix that. Because it has to have something holding it on. And that's going to be that. So that's probably leather, and it probably has a belt. And again, we're going over black here, so we're probably going to have to put a couple of coats on. That's the problem with black primer. Unless you undercoat white. Well, let's get this. This is probably a strap, actually, to hold the scabbard on. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. There wouldn't be a decorative fixture there. So, there. We can grab our highlights and our shadow and do that. Yeah, I can do arm stuff. No magic. I've got resistance bands and stuff. It's just the leg stuff. There are certain machines I really like. That and the pectoral machines and stuff. I just really enjoy those machines, and so I feel like I get better results. All right, so made that more leathery. Got my highlights on here to make sure it's a different color. Technically, there should probably be a strap. I can kind of see a strap up here off of her belt. So I'm going to paint that in. And she's got this pouch here, which I'm also going to paint in saddle brown, I think. Because we've got her dark leather down here. So I'll do a saddle right there. Oh yeah, just use a spreadsheet. So we'll get that in there. Ah, there we go. D. Clearman posted his Excel sheets to my Discord. If you are a patron, you can go over there. All right, we are almost to 11, so I'm just getting these this pouch. I need to figure out if I can see the pouch on the other side here. The answer is no. The sleeve comes right up against that, so we're pretty safe there. So I'm just going to make sure that I get my base coat and a bit of shading and a bit of highlighting on this bag here, and then we can start looking for a raid, because we started more or less on time, just a few minutes late.
How's Kiri doing?
She's crashed out. She just had, for some reason she was restless when we started today, and I tried to take her out, and then she was like, no, that's not what I need, and so I gave her a pain med, which I did forget to give her earlier, so that may have been it. She's got a morning med and an evening med, and I'm usually in enough of a hurry trying to get ready for the stream that I forget to give her the morning med earlier on, so maybe it was that. She's conked out now. But otherwise, we're still kind of struggling with the rear end of things, so to speak. But she's definitely not like uncomfortable. Like she's not in pain like she was during all that rigmarole, and she's somewhat stabilized. She's eating well again, and that was the big scare. So now I just have to. The challenge is feeding her enough to get her to put weight back on without, making things messy when it comes out the other end, if you know what I mean. Because old dog tired colon. But otherwise, she's doing okay, Justin. She seems happy. She's getting super special food now because she's old dog. So I've taken off the kid gloves and decided to spoil the heck out of her. So she gets that Stella and Chewy's freeze dried raw duck patties mixed into her kibble in the morning. I reconstitute them and warm them up. So she gets warm breakfast, cooked breakfast every morning. And then fancy canned food. And I got some Honest Kitchen dehydrated as well. So yeah, Kiri is spoiled. Spoiled dog. Yeah, fancy dog food. She's still getting kibble. I'm mixing everything into kibble, but she gets much fancier kibble. Oh, one of yours sat in the wet pallet. There you go, cats. What you gonna do? I only had one cat I ever had to give a bath because it was Ishtar. She was my Abyssinian, and her fur was so fine and soft that it would pick up every bit of dirt and dust, and so she actually needed baths. It's the only cat I've ever had to bathe. And she would just kind of sit in the sink and look at me and go, it was really funny. Jury's out on whether puppy probiotics work, in my opinion, HM Road Dog. I used to give them to the dogs, and I just never noticed a significant difference on that. I mean, jury's still out on, and I take probiotics, heavy-duty medical ones, because of my stuff. But the jury's still really out on how much good they do in a lot of cases. So I'm like hesitant to do more. One, to add more cost, and two, to give her something that may not do anything. Because when she was on them, this was a while ago, but when she was on them, I really didn't notice a favorable difference. And I was pretty religious about it for a while. We tried to give our dogs the best of everything, like everybody does, I think. But it's not a biotic problem with Kiri's colon. It's that she had radiation therapy, so sometimes it's just going to cause damage that you really aren't going to come back from what they told me. So she just has issues. Oh yeah, weekly pill caddy. I have had a weekly pill caddy for a while. Most of mine are vitamins given, but I am a believer in vitamins, even though those also have, conflicting evidence as to whether they do anything. I think that with you and with your own health and your dog's health, you just have to kind of like make your way as best you can and come to your own conclusions sometimes. All right, we have blocked in all of our gold and silver. We have finished all of our light leather. She's looking really good. We need to do the hair for sure. Like, the hair needs to be one of the next things. The hair and the brown leather. And I need to figure out an accent color if we're going to do that accent color on the potion vials and the ribbon up here maybe and the hilt here. We need to figure that out. And I need to figure out if I'm maybe just going to go with a little bit of a dark purple on the inside of this jacket, which is probably what I'll do. So, all right, Justin, who is out there for us to raid today?
It's a great question. Let's see.
I'm full of great questions. Ah, eek! As I drop everything.
Give Jimmy the brush.
Jimmy the brush. That sounds like fun. Let's do that. Let's go visit Jimmy and see what he's up to, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. Do we have Crow's Nest later on, Justin?
Yes, we do.
Who is it? Who's Michael talking to?
I believe Gene is coming on today. So
Oh, cool. That'll be fun. That'll be super fun. Gene is such a nice guy. You guys should go pester him. Guys, I'm going to also do my D&D stream this afternoon. So at 4:30 p.m. Central Time, we will do some D&D. And I've got it all planned out, I think. So it should be fun. And yeah, we'll finish up our prelude for Zari. So she's coming along. Oh, did you see Kiri? Justin, my doglet.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that.
Yes, it looks like Kiri is a puppy because her ears were floppy when she was a puppy. So she's coming along. But yep, all right, cool guys. I'm gonna leave you to Jimmy and have a fantastic day. And hopefully I'll see a bunch of you this afternoon over on my channel on twitch.tv/paintingbig. All right, adios.
Thank you guys very much.